hey, here we go. We're kicking it all off. I promised a podcast, and here it is. So I brought with me today my first guest for my first podcast, and I want to introduce to you my lovely wife, Charmaine.
Hello.
Thanks for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me.
She didn't have any choice. Uh, so,
Whatever.
I don't know if you noticed this, but you know, a lot of people wonder how I ended up with this lovely woman. Being that I'm incredibly handsome, incredibly attractive. They look at us and they say the obvious question: I must be rich. So,
Don't say that.
please. People are saying that.
No,
You look
they
at some.
don't.
You know
Why
what?
would someone say that?
You see
Unless
'em.
you're walking around with, suits and
Oh, the rich don't ever do that.
I know,
Shoot.
right? Millionaire next door.
No,
I
but
know.
it's kind of funny because we ended up getting together the way most people get together. I think nowadays, especially I guess during the COVID thing. I mean, we lucked out. We got together a couple
Oh,
years before COVID hit, so that was a huge plus. But we met online, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because it's kind of an interesting adventure. And I know
very.
you have all of your stories, obviously, about what you went through, and I have some stories, and then of course we got to share a little bit about how we ended up meeting up. So I want to ask you first: how many sites were you out there on
One. The first time. One.
the first time?
Yes.
Okay, so you were online before we met,
Yes.
and how did that come about?
Well, I started off with one. Okay, so
So what had happened
what
was,
happened was, okay, I was by myself for about what I want to say almost 4 years, about 4 years, and I was just doing my thing. I was going to places I haven't been in a while, my little boutique stores, and just spending time with the kids and working and just everyday life. So, what started was my cousin and her husband had this cute little baby. Oh my god, he's so adorable. And I would always say, "Hey, why don't you guys go out on a date so I can babysit?" You know, that's how bored I was. On some Friday nights, I would offer to babysit. You know, and I think a few times they counseled on me, and
hmm
I got a little attitude because I was like, "Dude, I was gonna, we're gonna watch a movie and chill and relax." And finally, my cousin was like, "Girl, you need to. When are you gonna start dating?" It's like I don't know, And this is a whole nother game, the dating game.
yeah, right.
I'm like, I was married before, and before that, it's like you date by, running into
You
someone
date
or,
the
or the
old-fashioned
old
way.
fashioned way. Yeah, someone, oh, I got a nice guy for you, that kind of thing at a party, something like that. But I was like, I had no clue. I was like, I don't go anywhere really.
So before you went out the first time, how long had it been since you had actually been in the dating world?
I was by myself for about 4 years,
Okay.
and before that, I was married. So by what? I was married by what, 7?
So if we start doing the math, we might be able to figure out how old you really are.
It's hard to, honey.
All right. So tell us what happened.
Okay.
You got
Okay.
out there.
So I got out there. My cousin and her husband was like, "Oh, get on this site. Try this site." So I did, and it was overwhelming. I tried one site. It was overwhelming. It was just so many people, and you get the weird people. I had this one guy who would stalk me every time I would log
Why'd you
on.
point at me?
No,
This one guy that
I
would
know because
stalk
he
me.
looked like no. He, I would log on, and every time I log on, he had this beanie, and he had and the his picture was just of his eyes. He had these piercing blue eyes and a beanie, and he was just creepy. So it was creepy. And then the fairy tale stories. You read the little stories. I'm like, okay, right. So yeah, but the first time I went out with this one guy. We went out about, I want to say about 3 times. Starbucks.
Three
Uh,
times to
yeah,
Starbucks.
yeah. He meet me at Starbucks. I'm like, okay. The last time I said, listen, I'm not gonna. He was weird. He was a little weird, quiet. I was like, look, this is the last time I'm gonna meet you at Starbucks. So, what do you like to do? Blah blah blah. So we end up going, to shoot pool and all that stuff. But I want to say hmm, maybe a week after that, I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, he just didn't have he was weird. He didn't have a agenda. He was just off. I was like, this is not gonna work. It was nice knowing you, and
Right.
wish you good luck. And that was that. So the website, I actually called their number because it was too much. I called them and I was like, just erase my whole profile. Just take me off completely. They always try to throw those deals.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
what can we do? Blah blah blah.
We'll give you an extra
Oh
three
yeah,
months. We'll
yeah.
give you this.
So
We promise he's out there.
yeah,
Okay.
and that was that. And I was off for about a year and a half.
And then you knew something great was out there, so you obviously jumped back in.
No, because the question kept coming back up. So, have you been on any dates? When are you gonna start dating? People ask you to get that little sympathy. Oh, when are you gonna start dating? Oh, you haven't met anyone? I'm like, no, I'm good.
What I think you get to that point after a while where like you either have to start dating or you have to start gathering cats. It really becomes one. You have to
Well,
either,
I think I did get 2 cats.
you did get two cats. That's a different
It
story.
was for my kids, yeah. But
So okay, so you got out there, and the second time, you obviously like had some level of success. I think you ended up with me.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
No,
hoping that's
no,
successful.
you learned. So you learn. So the second time, I did my profile again, and you word it differently. You put in, look, no games. I'm not looking for a sugar daddy. I'm not looking for a young guy. It's just, I'm looking for a Christian man. You know, and it should eliminate. Hopefully, I was hoping eliminate.
How'd that go?
It's like shopping. It's like shopping. You're like, okay, I'm looking for this kind of guy. Blah blah blah. This kind of guy. This kind of guy. So, yeah, I second time it was. I think it was what I came back from Arizona. It's like April.
I think it was April.
I think it was like April.
Yeah.
Where we start talking.
Chatted a little bit.
Yeah, but how did we start?
No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that though. Hold on. We'll get to that.
Just,
I know you've got your side of it. I got my side of it. We'll talk a little bit about that stuff. No, I agree with what you're saying because there was a difference though. Because I was out on all of them. Like I got out there,
I mean, that's too much.
Well, because you know what? Look, I mean, you look at you and you go, all right, you need to get out on one site. You look at this mug right here. Do you know how many sites you got to get out on just to get some attention?
That's not true.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
That's not true.
No, see, I'm
telling you. Because the
you.
one site I was on was at what was it?
So I made a mistake when I did my profile. I was honest. And so I found out that if you're honest about your profile, if you go out there and you go, okay, so here's the thing, I'm 6'2", and I'm like, oof. Then they go to body type, and I'm like, well, athletic. I can play some golf. Does that count? And so, but I'm like, no, realistically, I would definitely was a few pounds overweight to, heavier, and I put that on there, and I put down some of the things that I like. I put down that I had kids.
Right.
So I listed all this stuff, and I'm telling you, when you're out there, oh, and I put my actual income. That was the other one I did, because you know how like some of them have income brackets, and they're like,
yeah.
And I'm telling you, when you do that, basically, like if you tell the truth, you're way down there on the selection list, because I had a chance to kind of flip through, because I was curious, flip through what some of these guys are doing, and I didn't realize that in order to be on a dating site, you had to skydive, you had to rock climb while saving children from a burning bus, while
told
serving
you that?
while serving as an attorney
Oh my
who
god.
does brain surgery in the afternoon.
Who
I'm
told you
like,
that?
because that's what these profiles are saying. I'm like, I'm not making this up. There's people out there. Everybody. You ever look at the pictures? Everybody's
Oh
doing this.
yeah.
Like,
I've seen pictures where it's like 10 years. I'm like, when
oh
did you
yeah.
take that picture in high school or?
Well, I have, like I would flip through, and I'm telling you, I would see these amazing women, just amazing, and not to discredit those that are on the dating sites because there are some amazing people. But I will tell you this: if all the pictures you have are like you're climbing Machu Picchu, like I say, you're jumping out of a plane, you're taking cooking classes, you're walking through wine country. What I really see right there is that I can't afford you. I can't because every minute of your day is spent spending all kinds of crazy amounts of money, things like that. And so it was really weird. But for me, I was on a bunch of different sites. Now, one of the things
Why?
well, because I really did believe that each site had something different. And quite frankly, I was a little bit cheap. So
Oh, you didn't pay for it?
I did some of the not paying for
Oh, see, that's what. If you
sites.
don't pay for, okay, listen. If you don't pay for the site, you're gonna get your slum. You're gonna bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
You
So,
know.
okay, I don't know if I've told you this story, but I think I have. But I want to share this for the anybody that might happen to be listening to this podcast because
Scared nerd.
if I could save just one man, if I could save just one man from this. So, I will tell you my very first date. I had been out there and like you have those banters back and forth online and you start
Right.
developing you're like, do we have a connection? That sort of thing. So I'm talking to this woman I've she has 4 pictures online and they're like a little seductive. I mean like
Shoulder.
she's got like that one eye kind of closed. She's like trying to
Uh-huh.
yeah, and it's cleavage, and stuff like that. And it's I'm a guy.
Why do you click it? So you already know what it's gonna be about. When they're showing all of this, and they're in a
See,
bikini
now
or
some
they're
of this
laying
is
out
video,
on
but
a.
remember this is the podcast. So when you say you're showing all this, people don't know what you're showing.
Oh well, they
I
know
know
what I'm
what you're
talking about.
showing.
They
I
have
know
a
what she's
picture.
got. Anyway, so
Anyway,
so here's the thing. So I click on the pictures. I'm like, okay, not bad, not bad. So we strike up a conversation, and the conversation goes pretty well. It's like we've got some stuff in common, and she's not that far away. So then she's, we were talking about something, and she says she plays bingo because I was telling her that I work at a bingo to help raise money for my daughter's school and stuff like that. And so she tells me, she's like, "Oh, I play bingo," and she says she's at this bingo hall, which was right around the corner from my house,
oh,
literally right around the corner. Surprisingly, not all old people. I know you're thinking that, but no, it wasn't. But she's right around the corner, and I'm like, and I'm excited about this. I'm going, okay, you know what? This online dating thing is good. I'm like, holy cow! I get to go like less than a mile and a half, and there it is. Bam!
too
I'm
easy.
on it. It's too easy. So, I'm like, all right, I'll meet you over there. So, I do the quick, get ready, do all my stuff, out the door over there, and I get there, and I had never been to the bingo parlor there. So I go in, and it's just like a giant room, and it's massive, and there's just tons of people there and everything else. So I'm like, okay. So I call her, and I'm like, how will I know where to find you? She goes, I see you. And and I'm thinking, all right, I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage, right? So she's like, hold on, I'll be right there. Now I got to go back and tell you. So the woman I'm looking for is about 5'5".
Hmm.
um she has dark hair, and she has an athletic build. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm looking around, and then I see there's this woman that she's kind of coming up towards me, and she's and I'm like, she's blocking my view of everybody, because she was about 4'11", so about 6 inches shorter, and like, and how do I put this? Like a kind of like a bowling ball. Like, I don't know if that's athletic, but she was kind of like a bowling ball. And she comes up to me and she's like, Doug. And my heart drops. Like, oh no.
Why? Because she was short or because she was
Because she
round?
had lied on
She
every
lied.
aspect of it. Okay, literally, she was 6 inches shorter. She she was not athletic, and the thing is, it wouldn't have mattered to me what she would have said. I would have been fine with anything. But she, she chose athletic as her build, so I'm looking for athletic, and she wasn't that. And then finally, I realize as I look at her that those pictures were not her being seductive. She had a lazy eye. She seriously had a. That's where the seductive, like that little. Oh,
Oh,
she had. So, but. Hey, listen, I'm a good guy. I kept on with the date. I'm like, okay, I'm
what'd you
here.
guys do? Play bingo?
We did. We played
Oh
bingo.
goodness.
So we
How old
played.
was she?
She was like right around my age, I want to say. So we were close in age. But so we went and we sat down and her friend was there with her and we started playing bingo and she's like, if you want, we can just play, we can just play off, the same cards or whatever. So I didn't have to get new cards. I was like, yeah, that's fine. So we start playing and then we're like in the middle of the second game and her hand goes onto my knee.
Ooh.
And I'm
What kind of pictures were
thinking,
you showing?
I don't know. I don't know what I was showing, but So anyway, long story, already way too long. She's like full on coming on to me at this thing, and then she, we started talking. She worked at one of the major amusement parks, and I was saying that my daughter loved that park, and she was like, well, I can get you guys in, and I was like, yeah, we'll have to see about that because I know I'm not going to see her again. That's already a given, but I'm trying to be a nice guy. So anyway, so I say I gotta go after a little while, and she says she's gonna walk me out. I say, no, you keep playing. I mean, if you walk me out, I gotta walk back in. Walk you back in, all this other stuff. She's like, no, 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 no. So she walks me out, and so we get over to my car, and she does the lean in, you know,
Ooh. You want a kiss
and
already?
yeah, yeah. So I gave her a hug, and kind of did the little pushback thing. Um, so I told her I would call her and and just let her know if I was going to be going to this amusement park tomorrow with her, which she had invited me to. So I get home, and about an hour later, I call her and I said, she didn't answer, so I left her a message and said, unfortunately, you know what, I'm not going to be able to make it. I've got some other things going on, and left it at that. Well, the next morning I wake up, to the phone ringing, and I didn't answer it. It goes to voicemail, and she is cussing me out.
What little
She
funky
is
little thing?
cussing me out. She's like,
Why?
"You try to use me, and and then I won't give you what you want, and this and that, and everything else." And she's going ballistic on me, and I'm like, "What signs did I give you? What did I do?" And it was just so strange. I didn't know what to do with that.
Was she really
And
cussing you out?
yes, so she calls me again, and I answer this time. And so she's calling me all these things, and then she cusses me out a little bit more and hangs up. And I was like, okay, I need to get off the dating sites. Um,
The dating sites.
yes. So so
That's a
anyway,
shame. I don't see how. I don't see how you.
no, but the funny part about it is, she calls me back 10 minutes later, and I pick it up again, and she apologizes. She's like, "I am so sorry." She's like, "I know
That's
you
that
didn't."
cycle.
She's like, "I know you didn't mean anything." And she says, "Why don't you come over? We'll go to the hot tub. We'll just relax and everything." And I go, "Look, I just don't think it's going to work between us." I'm like, "You're a little bit more." and and so we ended up not talking, but then she started stalking me, and like I changed the screen names and stuff, and I logged out for a couple of days and then created another name. I did everything I could. She would track me down, and
Wow.
which leads me to this other thing. So that was my very first online date ever.
How long are you on that online
I
dating?
was only online for about a week when that happened. And so it was really interesting. But one of the biggest things about it that I discovered from being on multiple sites is you're pretty much a club. So when you get out there,
Oh,
if you're on any of the free sites, if you're on one, you're probably on at least three.
oh, the free
The
sites.
free sites, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I can't even tell you because it's so funny because I went out with, over the course of time, I went out with a few other people, And one of the funniest things about all that was that we would see each other. Like, we decided that it wasn't quite a match, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. I met some amazing people online dating. It was really, but they just weren't for me. But one of the things was you would come across their pictures over and over and over again, and you'd change sites, and you'd see them on another site, then you'd see them off. They would be gone, and you're like, "Oh, good for them! Oh, they found somebody."
They pop
And
right
then,
up.
and then like a week later, they're right back up there, and so it's interesting. I think the funniest thing is the challenge of it. So I mean, did you have that experience? Did you have to go through a lot of frogs to get to your prince?
No. I chose not to. I wasn't going out with anyone. First of all, well, the first time. See, here's the thing. When you're online dating, most likely you're not gonna meet anyone the very first time you're on there, because it's all a learning thing, So the first time, I went out with one guy, but I think I liked his picture, and then he messaged me and he said, "Call me," and he left his number. So
Smooth. That's smooth.
I was like, "Okay, I'll call him," but I blocked my number first
All
before I
right.
called him. And I think he was out jogging or whatever. He was like, "Blah blah 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 blah." I was like, "Okay, blah blah blah." And I think like a week later we met at Starbucks. But the second time I was on um, that site, uh, I was really picky. You go through your little swipes, and who are you gonna dump in the trash and all that stuff. But yeah, it was more of, I no, you were my first person I went out with. Yeah,
Which brings us to that,
because I wanted to. I guess what you message through the app,
right?
and then that's the email part,
So
and
we
then
met.
you.
Yeah, we met when I broke down and paid for a site. So, because right about that time, I had given up all hope. But at the same time, it's like, all right, I got another 5, 10 years I'm going to live. I might as well try and, make the best of it. Kidding. I'm going to be around for at least 10.
But how long were you on the dating sites? What, 5 years?
No, no, no. I think on and off, I want to say probably 3 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
You know why? Because I couldn't commit to anything. Like I was out there, and I think the first little bit that I was out there, I really just wanted companionship. Like, I was kind of lonely. I mean, I was still taking care of kids, and I was doing that type of stuff. But
You just want someone to just go out with.
yeah, wanted to bang. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I kind of did. Yes. All right, I admit it. Wanted to hook up, but you do that for a little while, and then it gets old, and then I had gotten to the point where I was like, okay, my kids are getting to that age where they're not going to be home anymore. And I started thinking about that. And I was like, well, I'm pretty much just going to take my dog and get a motorhome, and we were going to cruise the country. I was like, I'm done. But I gave it one more shot. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try. You see all the ads, and whether it's eHarmony or Match or whoever, they're like, oh, you know what? Everybody's like, oh, we found love. I'm like, oh, aw. And I don't believe it, but I was like, okay. So I go on. Now here's my side of what happened. So
Tell your side.
I'm gonna tell my side. So what happened was, I was out there and I saw that somebody I had posted my pictures, and I saw that somebody liked my pictures, and so I immediately, I'm like, all right, who is it? And I click on it, and this woman has no photos. So you know what that tells me? She's fugly. I'm like, oh, hell no. If you are so ugly that you can't even post a picture of yourself,
I'm trying to see.
I don't want any part of it. So,
When did I? Wait a minute. I think before I actually paid for it. So I didn't put a photo up. I didn't put a photo up
right,
at first.
right.
And then when I decided to pay for it, they give you a little discount because you've been
Sure.
waiting for so long. Then I said, okay, I'll put pictures up. But
Right. Well, it's like we talked about. If you leave something in your cart long enough, they start
Yeah.
sending you the discounts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole different story. We'll talk about that later too. Not today. Anyway, so I read her profile, and quite frankly, I thought her profile was great. I really enjoyed it. I was like, okay, seems like a good woman, and Christian, and she had some of the same things going. She had kids. Like, but that was almost a deal breaker for me because I swore that kids were going to have to be they were going to have to be at least as old as my youngest,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, look, I've been doing this for 20 something years. I've been parenting, and I was like, oh crap, you know what? I don't want to start all over again. I'll be 140 by the time the last one leaves the house.
Well, you have different questions because when I clicked on your photo, I was like, oh, he's cute. And then okay, so I said, let me read what he's. I was like, okay, okay, and I was like, oh, he has 3 kids. I have 3 kids. I was like, oh, how cool.
Yeah.
And then I think I sent you a. Okay, so here's the
Are
thing.
you gonna let me finish my story?
Go ahead.
Because my story's way cooler.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I'll fix
anyway, did you say you were gonna fix my story?
it. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna fight after this. No, you know what? It was funny because I read it. I was like, okay, but I gotta let her go because she's fugly. So so I didn't say anything. So then a little time goes by, and I looked and I realized that the woman had a photo up, and I looked, and that was the face I saw. Was this face right there, and almost the same
Same
hair?
hairstyle.
Yeah. But yeah, so I saw that picture, and I was like, "Ooh, all right, she's cute." But I didn't do anything at the time. I just kind of let it go. So then, shortly after that, like, I get this message, and it was one of those, like, okay, so I don't know if you guys are listening and you've been on dating sites, they have like these little just click and it sends a stupid message. And I guess that's like if you're not smart enough or you don't want to take the time, you just want to like put out 5,000 messages. So I get this thing from her, and it says, "What's your go-to Starbucks order?" And I'm like, I'm looking, going, "Oh, are you freaking kidding me?" This woman couldn't take the time to go and type.
Whatever.
No typing. She's like, "Click. What's your go-to Starbucks drink?"
Okay, let me explain. Okay, so I'm not too tech savvy, right? So I'm on here, and normally I like to write what I want to say. Hey, I like your picture. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to write something, but the message, their generic message, was hovering over what I was trying to write, the little box. So I was like, forget it. So I just clicked.
Okay.
I was like, whatever.
So she clicked. She sent me a generic. She clicked. She sent me generic.
I kept, going through my little pictures and all that
right. Stuff. But again, I'm like, okay, if she doesn't want to take the time to actually like put some words down, I'm not gonna answer. But then something came over me, and for some reason I answered you, but I was sarcastic, which
yeah, you were.
As she knows now, doesn't ever stop. But I was like, thanks for taking the time, to type an original message.
I was like, sorry, whatever.
But it was great. You know what? It was an icebreaker, and we started talking, and so I guess it sort of worked out. We communicated a little bit through the app.
Then for a while. It was about what? A week?
Yeah, it's probably a week. And then so then we started talking on the phone, and it was really good.
Yeah.
Like it was. So okay.
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
The thing is, the app, once you're comfortable with, sending messages through the email, blah blah blah, then at that point, oh well, he's a really nice guy. He's so sweet. He asked for my number, and I was like, okay, it's been a while. I can give him my number. Then I was comfortable with giving out my number. Right. So that's when it opens up.
So then we talk for a little while.
Yeah.
And then we decide we're going to get together. And we were originally going to do a picnic, because that's cheesy and, kind of romantic. And I thought, okay, this is a way to get, score quick points. And, because I still, I mean, you've been burned, you get burned a few times on this. You're really looking for a disqualifier. You're like, they sound too good to be true. So let's just find out how bad it is. And, and honestly, I thought she was way too pretty. I'm like, I didn't understand why she, wanted to hang out with me a whole lot. So it was, so I'm gearing up. I'm like, I'm getting ready. I'm expecting to see like, that lazy eye, 5 foot,
Oh.
5 foot nothing, bowling ball.
Oh.
And so we agree to meet. And so as we get over there, well, I get there. We decide we decided, ironically, Starbucks.
No, no. How did we decide? We didn't just decide. We should have a picnic.
We were supposed to have a picnic, but then I forget
Something
what it
came
was.
up
I had
about
something. Yeah, we
yeah,
didn't have.
something came up with your daughter.
Yeah, so we weren't able to do that. So we ended up meeting at Starbucks just to do a quick, like, like the meet and greet. Kind of that test drive. You want to make sure that the car you just ordered online looks, halfway decent. And so, we get all set up for this. And that's just going to ruin this whole thing. Now we got to start all over right from the very beginning.
No.
I start getting pages and stuff like that. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Anyway, you're like, I'm not starting this over. And but anyway, so we go to Starbucks, and I get there. I'm military, so for me, I'm there 15 minutes early. And and I'm looking and I'm going, all right. And I sort of expect other people to be like that. So I'm there, and like when you're waiting for somebody, a minute is an hour. So it's like 5 minutes before she's supposed to be there. And all right, I get a little okay. Now here's where I was wrong. I called her 5 minutes before she was supposed to be there. And I was like, hey, you know what? Just want to let you know I was here. And you're like, I'm right around the corner. I'll be there in just a second.
I'm almost there. I think my first time I said.
You said I am right around the corner.
Not the first time.
Oh yes.
The first time I said I'm almost there.
Yeah.
I'm almost
there. You said
there.
I will be there in a minute.
Yeah, I'll be there in a minute. I'm almost there. Now,
so,
I'm at home, but it's only like what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's about drive? 10 to 12 minutes. And I called her 5 minutes before, and she said, I'm almost there. She had not left the house. So, about 10 minutes goes by, and she says she said she was almost there. So I call her again, and I'm like, "Hey, just wanted to make sure I got the right Starbucks, and because you said you were almost here, and you're like, "Oh, I am. I'm right around the corner."
I did. I was right around the corner.
She had not left the house yet.
Yes, that time, the second time you called, I was in my car on Atlantic.
She was not that close. So, so she gets there, and finally she gets there, and she took my breath away. This beautiful woman gets out of this car, and I'm like, she's totally forgiven, and so that's when we get in there, and I forget, she ordered some crazy drink, and I thought, okay, she's kind of bougie, but all right.
Whatever.
So we go and we sit outside, and it's April, and it's sunny.
Oh, it was hot.
And when it was hot. So being the gentleman that I am, I put this beautiful young lady in the shade, and I sat in the sun.
It was I was like, it's no problem. I was like, you okay? We can switch,
And of course, you know what?
He's red, he's sweating.
Meet and greet. I'm like, I'm not gonna.
I know he's hot.
See, and I didn't know I didn't know then what I know now. And yeah, see, so we talked, and I was totally infatuated. I was just amazed. I was so impressed with you, and so we just kept talking, and we kept talking, and we kept talking. So in the meantime, I kept burning and burning and burning.
Poor thing.
I was probably 3 minutes from bursting into flames. And, but it was a great meet and greet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can we agree on that? Okay. So
time.
It was a great meet and greet. So I walk her to her car, and, I'm walking her over to her car, and one thing leads to another, and she just all of a sudden out of nowhere kisses
Really?
me.
Really? No. You kissed me. I wasn't ready for that because I'm like, ooh, first date. I just met you, you know? You just grabbed me and just kissed me. And I was like, okay,
It wasn't like a
okay, I'm gonna let that go.
all
But
right.
no, yeah, I wasn't ready for that first
You
kiss.
wanted it though.
No.
She did a little bit.
Mm-mm. A hug, would have been
That was just
appropriate.
a hug plus. It was just, look, sometimes the guy's got to get that stuff out of the way. Otherwise, you're like, well, when's that going to happen? And, I just felt like that was a good time for it. And
I'm
since
glad
you,
we had a good time
yeah,
because
because
the
that would
kiss
have,
was forgiven.
right. But, what I did next wasn't. You're still a little bitter about that.
You what?
The next thing I did, you still get mad at me about when I texted and broke up with you.
Oh my goodness. This dude right
All right, we've
here.
only got a couple minutes left. So you can tell
This
that
dude.
story. You want me to tell the story or you want to tell the story?
The very next day, okay, we had a great time. The very next day, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm asleep. My phone beeping. I'm like, who's calling me at 6 in the morning? I'm asleep. So I grab my phone. It's a letter page text from this dude. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was, I'm sorry. I can't, I have a lot of things going on, moving and, my kid and, and blah, 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 blah. I'm so sorry, but I can't do this. And I'm like, okay. I was like, oh, he was a nice guy. We had a good time. I was like, all right. And so what I did, I think I called you and I said, hey, you know what? It would have been nice if you would have called
That's kind
and
of how,
said
yeah, that's
that,
kind of how that went.
But I was like, we could be friends. We can be friends. You're a really nice guy. And if you're having, issues with some stuff, I'm here. I'll listen.
Well, yeah, and and to be fair, honestly, like that was part of the problem was I had some other stuff going on, and really felt like I couldn't put my attention towards anything. But there was something special about her, and I didn't know how to tell her, so I took the Weasley way out and sent a text.
He dumped me
But it was so
via
funny because
text.
I didn't dump you. I
He
just
did.
okay, I dumped you,
Before we even
but
start dating, he
we hadn't
dumped
even
me.
dated, so it's really not a dump. No, but you know what was so funny, and I tell her this to this day. Like it's that text that you send out, and the moment you send it out, you're actually physically running your hands trying to grab that text back. You're like, oh crap, what did I just do?
Yeah. And if you've gone on a date where it's like, oh, we had a good time, and then you get a text like that, it's like, okay, was it my breath? He's not attracted to me, or, was it not the right time, or,
It
maybe
was not the right time.
you know, and then
However,
of course it was like,
however,
maybe he's not used to being with a black woman.
I
So,
you're black.
yeah. I
See
was
now
like, maybe
this is
that was
stuff
too much for him, you know?
you're going to go over that on the podcast.
I'm just
Now
saying.
you're going to break that to me. I had
Shut up. You don't see this chocolate? You don't
we
know if
have
you
a
want a black one?
whole okay, so we have a whole nother episode coming up regarding the differences in dating styles, along with just overall relationship things that are different between interracial couples. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a learning experience
It
for
is a learning
sure.
experience. We actually had a I think it was a date night, movie night at the house, and
Oh, we got to
we
save that
just,
story. That's a story for another
I
time.
know, we're
We're
like,
running out. We are seriously running out of time. I don't want to keep this too long because for anybody that's listening, they've been sitting in their car with the engine running outside, and that sort of thing. So seriously though, I want to give you a second. You just opened your Etsy shop,
yes,
and I am absolutely enthralled by what you're doing with your jewelry. So, do you want to give a quick shout out to what you're doing?
well, I customize. I make map jewelry, customized map jewelry, necklaces, bracelets, keychains, cufflinks for the men. But it's a personalized jewelry shop on Etsy. It's called the Blueprint Jewelry, and it's great. And I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited for you. No, actually, it's really cool. Check it out. It's on Etsy. Also, want to remind you that we're going to be the podcast Doug in Progress will continue. It'll be a weekly podcast, and we will be posting all these to YouTube as well. I'll have some more information on that. This is going to be an interesting time. Thank you so much. I have a feeling that you might be my regular sidekick on this. I may let you keep coming out and playing, as long as you don't tell too many bad stories.
Oh, hey, tune in. I got some stuff to say.
We'll save it for next time. Again, you're listening to Doug in Progress. Thank you so much, and hope you join us again next time. Bye.
Bye.